Welcome in, guys, to another episode of the Fourth and a Mile podcast, the College Football Edition, episode 5. How are you doing today, JD?
I'm doing good. I wish yesterday's Sunday performance went a little better, but my Saturday was great, and we'll get into that a little later of where I was because I was at one of the games that was infamous from last night. I was in Starkville.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah, let's head right in like we usually do to the spotlight.
Before we start the spotlight, how was your Saturday?
It was good.
Honestly,
I
your
mean,
Sunday went really well, really
yeah,
good.
Sunday went well against your Cowboys. Saturday went, I'd say just as well. Just watched football, watched Alabama.
Hey,
Can't complain.
hey, simple joys of life. You only get 12 of these.
That's right for college.
Simple joys.
Hopefully more when the playoffs come around.
We'll see.
But let's head into this spotlight performances. Let's give a shout out down south of the state, South Alabama, putting up 87 points. I believe it was on Thursday. Thursday they put up 87 points against Northwestern State, which kind of crazy.
Yeah, crazy. I was at work during this. Just I was hanging out with my sports director at the time. You know him. We were kind of just sitting there working. Like I'm writing my scripts. I'm writing everything, and then he has South Alabama going. Uh, are you seeing this? I saw it was 66, and I thought, oh, okay, they'll probably stop at 66. No, they went to 87. And
That's crazy.
walking out of work, I looked at my phone and went, oh my, South Alabama.
Yeah, also Arch Manning coming in for Quinn Ewers, who exited the game. It looks like he's week to week, and he'll probably play not this week against ULM, but the next week when they open up SEC opener. But Arch Manning played good with 5 total touchdowns, including a 67-yard touchdown run, which was kind of crazy.
You know what this feels like? You know what this feels like for Texas? And it's one of the best spots you'll ever be in. It's like Hurts and Tua for us. When
Yeah, I
Hurts
agree.
went down, you were like, no, it's like when Tua went down the SEC championship, you're like, wait a minute, we're gonna be all right. We got
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts right behind him.
you
That's what
got to go
Texas got.
when you have a
Their
Manning in there.
Heisman Trophy winning, their Heisman Trophy contender goes down, and they're like, all right, cool. We get to see Arch Manning. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, that's funny. And speaking of Alabama quarterbacks, we got Jalen Milrow having a day. We'll get into it
I mean, we
more
can pretty
in
much,
the recap,
much
but
go into that right now.
yeah, 5 total touchdowns, 3 passing and 2 running. And let's head into that game. What'd you think how Alabama fared in the first road game of the Kalen DeBoer era?
I watched this game. I listened to this game on the radio, and then I kind of watched the game right after. The game was over right in the first quarter when Tyler Van Dyke went down.
Yeah, prayers out to him. It was announced today that he went out with a torn ACL, so
It's
hopefully he has a
um.
good recovery on that.
Besides that, my dad, who's also an Alabama fan, was kind of talked about it where it's like, are you worried about this defense at all? I go, this is kind of what I expected from this defense. But I'm surprised their bend don't break. Keon Sabb and Malachi Moore have been otherworldly, like I thought they would be. The It was the most complete game Alabama played all year. And it came at the best time on the road. It came at the best time possible. You look good, and now you got a bye week to get some guys healthy, like Malachi Moore kind of got banged up. I believe Russo maybe
Yeah, he
got
might be.
banged up.
He's a probably more week to week than Malachi will be back because he has a concussion by then because it'll be a week after. But wait,
But
Russo, I
now,
think he
now
something
you got,
so he,
but you got your road win.
yeah,
You look
comfortably.
good. The offense looked good. You could run the ball. Milrow, Milrow was Milrow. I mean, he's not an intermediate passer. I thought maybe he'd work on that, but that's just not Milrow's game, and that's
No, the
okay.
bubble
That's
screens were
okay.
not really accurate, but his deep balls were very,
Well,
very
that's not
accurate.
the thing. It's like I'm more worried about short passes. Like, can he get the
Yeah,
slants? And then that he's been improving on. And just comfortable. He feels comfortable in this offense and he feels comfortable inside the pocket. But now you can watch the film, tweak some things up, and get ready for one of the biggest games in in the last 5 years of Alabama football in a few weeks.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
I think LT Overton continues to look very impressive, getting
The
tons of
Texas
pressures
A&M
on the
transfer?
quarterback. That's right, the Texas A&M transfer.
Mhm.
He's looked very good. Ryan Williams, another game, another touchdown.
Jeremy
That was,
Bernard,
Jeremy Bernard, that was a
someone finally, besides Ryan Williams, stepped up to Emmanuel Henderson had some nice plays. Law
yeah,
was
Miller, another touchdown.
awesome. Law was awesome on blocking.
Yeah, we got some receivers who go in and
Jeremy
block.
Jeremy Bernard, the run game looked good. The defense bend again, they bend, but they don't break. I like that.
Yeah, the
Do
run
you think
defense kind of got was kind of suspect. They were giving up a lot of chunk, 8 yard, 9 yards. Clean that up, but it was
they're
kind of when
still
the
not
game was
great on
over.
third? They're still not
Yeah,
great on third down.
yeah. Again, I mean, Graham Nicholson missed a kick, but it's like it was close. I mean, you can't really fault him. That was
Kickers,
his first
it's
attempt as
hard.
a field goal all year, so it's like,
Plus, Bama fans are spoiled.
yeah,
The Will Reichard. Do you guys remember what it was before Will Reichard? I'm
yeah,
okay
that
with
was terrible.
Nicholson barely missing a 53-yarder.
I just think it was just a great game all around. I mean, when you go into a hostile environment and just shut them down in the first half, once it's done in the first half, I liked that the board got really aggressive with 36 seconds left, knowing they have all three timeouts, and then drove down the field in 2 plays in 17 seconds.
Yeah. I was happy with how the team played. Like, were they better than Wisconsin? Yes, but it's on the road.
And they've
I thought
struggled on the road.
I thought they I thought Wisconsin would have kept it closer, just
Yeah,
by
well,
the ball. But Alabama went, all right, you had your fun.
yeah. I mean, who
It's
knows
like
what it would have
very
looked like.
similar to like a saving game where it's like, all right, you had your fun.
Yeah. Well, who knows what it could have been like if Van Dyke didn't get hurt. I mean, you'll never know, but
I mean, we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Let's head out to a controversial game with the officiating crew with the Jason Autry out in Columbia, South Carolina, where College Game Day was, with LSU surviving. It was a really good game. It seemed like every time South Carolina got a turnover or any team got turnovers or anything, you'd always see a flag on the field, some soft, questionable roughing the passers that were called late on interception from Garrett Nussmeier at the end. But LSU got a late touchdown in the final 2 minutes, Josh Williams getting in the end zone, and then South Carolina missing a long kick to be able to tie the game.
I'm going to be devil's advocate here. I don't think it's the officiating that screwed them. Did
Yeah,
they get,
when where
did
Sellers
they,
getting hurt, really
did they
hurt as
get,
well.
no, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's a combination of things. South Carolina was up at one time 17 to nothing. They couldn't stop LSU. Both sides couldn't stop each other. South Carolina had everything go
Yeah,
right for them this game. Everything go right.
yeah,
But they shot themselves in the foot. They they were late in the game. South Carolina had all the moment. There was like a list of like 10 things that had to happen for South Carolina to lose the game. What happened? All 10 things happened for South Carolina to
yeah.
lose.
I mean, LSU
I
started off
cannot
slow, but
believe South Carolina lost this game because they had him. They had him.
yeah, they
Also,
had them on the ropes.
both teams can't tackle. Both teams
Yeah,
can't tackle.
well, that's been a known thing for LSU for the past 4 years.
South Carolina, I expected a little more. I expected a little more, but I mean, I expected LSU to score, but holy, oh my
Yeah, I
God.
mean,
Where's
LSU also
that
came
looked
out
like
flat.
at sometimes it looked like Big 12 defense at some points, old Big 12 defense. But
Yeah,
in my opinion, the refs were bad, obviously.
it's
Like
gonna
they were
happen in
bad,
sport.
but it's college football. But it's football. You're gonna have refs. Like we'll get into the NFL with I think Bengals fans are crying. I think Bengals fans are crying because you should have won that game, but we'll get into that next episode. But South Carolina, you had them. You had them and you blew it. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
teams find a way to win. And LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, who didn't play amazing, found a way to win. LSU found a way to win and got out of there.
I
They
mean, they're,
wanted, and you could tell they wanted it more in the fourth quarter.
yep.
So again, sorry, South Carolina, but that's just how it goes. You can't blame the refs for everything.
And LSU didn't seem like they woke up until the second half because their offense started out very flat in the first quarter. At least they woke up in the second quarter to cut the deficit to close.
Okay, I'll give you one thing. Final
And
drive. Final drive for South Carolina. Robbie Ashford hits that amazing play where he's getting sacked, but throws it across the body about midfield. They get all the way down the field goal range. What do? They can
penalty.
barely they can barely run the ball and can't even get it centered with Rocket Sanders. You've been able to run on this LSU defense the entire time.
Yeah.
What did you do? 0 yards, 1 yard, 1 yard. And you didn't even center it. You didn't even center it for your field goal kicker. At least you could have centered it and get 0 yards. But no, you decided, no, what's the best thing we should do? Get run the ball 3 times without getting a yard. Why
Yeah.
not give it to Ashford? Why not run a read option with Ashford? He can run it. Again, I can't I don't get it. I don't get South Carolina. I don't get how they lost this game, but they did.
I hate to see Lenora Sellers go down after. Hopefully he'll be fine.
Like Ashford didn't play terrible, but he just wasn't like on fire.
Yeah.
Sellers was on fire.
Yeah. LSU, it's kind of a weird. LSU will be playing UCLA at home this week.
LSU's
It's kind
what's
of a
your
weird
take
game.
on LSU? What's your take on LSU? Like we're
Just like
three
how they were last year.
we're
They can
three
score with
weeks in.
anybody.
They're they're worse than they were last year. They're a little worse.
Well, it kind of also depends on how USC is. We're talking Southern California, not South Carolina, but USC, if they are looking good, especially their game this weekend that we'll get into later,
Even
but
that
if
game
they look
LSU
good, then that's a top 10 team. That's not really like a bad loss.
like I don't think LSU's a playoff team.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
don't
we'll
look
see.
like it right now at 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
they look the exact same as they did last year,
yeah,
but
that's
just you look a little better in defense, which is good, but you're also a little worse on offense.
I think the kind of like the narrative on them would be a lot more like a lot changed if they would have won that held
Like
on in week one, if they would have held on against Southern California in week one.
I don't even think that they just look off. I think even if they beat, okay, here LSU in the future has UCLA this week, South
Yeah, it's a weird.
Alabama at home, a bye. Then you got Ole Miss coming into town, so that's good. You don't have to
But
go to Oxford.
if they win that game against Ole Miss, then
Yeah,
that changes
and
completely, flips the
and
script.
change it completely, but I
That's
do
their
not.
biggest game of the season.
They got Arkansas. They got to go to Arkansas, which will be tough for them because
That'll be a tough
Bobby
game, especially
Petrino,
last year's game.
Bobby Petrino will torch that defense. They got to go to Texas A&M, tough. They got Alabama, tough. They don't have a
Well, they
bye.
got that at home. At least.
They don't have a bye week before the Alabama game like they usually do.
They should. I mean,
They
there's
got
two bye weeks now.
they got Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Alabama. Then you got to go to Florida. You'll win that game. Vanderbilt.
They do have a bye week before Alabama.
No, they don't. It's October. Oh yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, LSU. I don't see it. I don't see it, but we'll see. Maybe they catch Ole Miss and
Well, if they catch Ole Miss and if they go 10-2, because if they lose Alabama or because they a lot of their favorable games are at home. Like a lot of the toss-up games are at home, and a lot of
yeah,
the games
that's
they
true.
should win in asterisks on the on the road.
There are 2 games on the road that they already completed one of their toughest games
Yeah,
on the road.
back to back. A&M and Arkansas are going to be two very
I'd
tough
say
games on the
A&M.
road.
I'd say South Carolina is hard, going to be a harder game than the Arkansas
Yeah,
game. I don't know.
we'll get into it. I mean, that's an interesting
Okay,
team
that's
now.
down the line. I mean, it's
Yeah,
down the
very interesting team to look at though is
line.
LSU.
Remember week 2? Remember after week one, we both thought Notre Dame was shooting for the playoff.
Well, I mean, they did Notre. I mean, just off topic real quick, but it is Notre Dame. I mean, they did kind of look good, and I guess they really unleashed some anger. They dominated Purdue, but Purdue's not really good. But
We'll
they
see
should
what.
have done that against Northern Illinois.
Yeah, you
And
could have
they would
run
have
the
been
ball against
good.
them. You couldn't run the ball
Let's
against.
get into another dumpster fire per game that what a barn burner of a game to be exact. Georgia sneaking past Kentucky and Lexington. I mean, that was
I didn't
crazy.
watch. I was driving from Starkville. I
I
was
mean,
driving.
I can
Like
I can recap this
Georgia,
game.
I was looking at the score. I watched the end of it where like Kentucky, instead of going for it on fourth down at midfield, they punt it. I saw that in the end of that.
Yeah, I
But
can recap the game.
what happened? Like, what's the deal with Georgia? What
Georgia just
happened?
looks like Tate Ratledge, one of their really good offensive. He was projected to be like a top 10 pick. He went down with injury. He's supposed to miss significant time.
So he
Hope
won't be
he has
in
a
for
speedy
like
recovery. Yeah, I
Alabama.
don't think he's going to be available for Alabama game.
Hmm.
Um, Georgia just couldn't move the ball. Carson Beck was just not finding guys in the first half. He looked very off. I mean, credit Kentucky's defense. They were stingy. They were giving them problems. Mark Stoops seems to have a can't quite edge out Georgia, but he seems to like keep it close always against them. And
Rhythm. Was it like
yeah,
Georgia can never find a rhythm on
yeah.
offense?
Second half, they were really finding a rhythm.
What about defense wise? Like, did
Defense wise, they were holding them strong.
did Kentucky they had drives.
Kentucky ran the ball very well, but as it is with Georgia's defense, they whenever they get down to the red zone or anywhere near, they
So it's like
just
so it's like
don't
an
give it.
Alabama. It was like Alabama students like, where they really
Yeah,
don't break. Okay.
and also Kentucky's offensive line with Eric Wolford is just not good at all this year. They can't really. I mean, as it was in the South Carolina game, they kind of blocked to save their lives. I mean, they didn't really give Vandergriff any time. He had some time, missed some throws. He didn't play bad. He didn't turn it over.
Okay. Do you think Kentucky deserved to win this game, or do you believe Georgia just do you think Kentucky should have won this game, or do you think Georgia probably in the end just looked like the better team?
Probably this Georgia just looked like the better team. They made the plays when it mattered. They made the drives when it mattered. Got in the end zone when it mattered.
I mean, they
Kentucky
have
just
one of these
finished
games
drives.
every year, but unlike other years where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we get to play in the SEC East. You this year you got Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama all on the road. So we'll see what Georgia. I mean, they got Alabama in 2 weeks, so we'll see.
Carson Beck was missing a ton of throws too. He wasn't.
I
And then
mean, you can
ETN,
always have off days. It's
their
like,
run defense on ETN was very good in the first half, and ETN finally got a little going in the second half, but he still
yeah,
wasn't getting a lot of yards a game. It'll be interesting. They laid their egg on the road, still won. Now they head into the bye week before they go to Alabama. It'll
I mean,
be
they can clean everything up and probably look like
yeah.
they could look like the best team and completely run out Alabama. We don't know.
Look, remember that game that they played against Missouri 2 years ago when they on the road when they looked
Yeah.
completely bad and they dominated everybody. I mean, every team weighs an egg. I mean, it's just how you respond the next week.
Yeah, it's just finding a way to win. And
Yeah,
Georgia being a championship program did that. And credit
but
to them.
because speaking of dumpster fires, it's head down to Florida where they lose. I mean, they tried an effort to come back in the second half, but going down 20-0 to Texas A&M in swampy conditions to say the least. It was raining the whole first half. It was,
Okay.
but
State of Florida. Okay.
state of Florida right now is not very good.
What makes it worse for Florida, you had Mertz and Lagway. They both played. They both looked bad. What made it worse is that Texas A&M had a backup quarterback
Yep.
starting his first game on the road in one of the toughest places to play in the country and torched. Looked like it looked nothing. It looked like the Miami game. They silenced them quick.
Yep.
Like Florida, I thought was going to win. I picked Florida
Yeah, we both did.
because because I thought because I was hearing Wegman is out. I'm like, Okay, first quarterback start against a senior. What am I expecting? A senior. I'm expecting Florida to show a fight, but no. Like, give credit to Texas A&M. Marcel Reed, man, what
Yeah,
a
they were
that
running the ball really well.
that guy might be the better player for better quarterback at Texas A&M. Maybe the guy.
We'll see.
Maybe.
I'm trying to find. Here's a quote from Billy Napier today in his press conference. He hasn't had any discussion. Says he hasn't had any discussions about his job status, and 100% sees a path to a fourth season with Florida. I mean, that's kind of just coach speak, but
And
it's
the thing that sucks about for Florida is this is the easy part of their schedule. This is
yeah.
the easy part.
Yeah, and another sucky part about all this is the more you wait on a decision for next year, just hurts recruiting for the years to come. You're just delaying kids' decisions. Is he going to be here? Is he not going to be here? That's all what parents want to know. They want to know if the coaches that are recruiting them are going to be there next year with how bad the team's looking. And if you don't, if the Scott Strickland, the athletic director, doesn't come to like a decision in the couple near weeks, then it can really backfire them once like early signing day and all that comes in December.
I'll give a prediction of when I what I think is gonna happen a little later in the show, but I have something I will probably say.
But since we're on topic, you can say it right now.
They're gonna lose to Mississippi State next week.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that, I was looking through the slate, what to
Dude,
pick for.
I watched Mississippi State. Okay, we're not gonna go over this game because
Just give a quick Spartan Notes version.
they they lost 41-17 to Toledo, a group of five team they paid $1.4 million to. They couldn't stop anyone on defense. Blake Shaven doesn't move inside the pocket. Toledo looked better on the line of scrimmage, but and this is the big but. This is a first year coach that they believe in and they fight for this coach. They
Yeah.
actually play for this coach. They like this coach. The players like this coach. Are they great? No. But do I see hope for state? Yes. I do not see hope for Florida until the deed is done, until this season is done, until a new voice is at
Yeah.
Florida.
I feel like if Mississippi State had a younger quarterback, I feel like you have hope, but you have a transfer in. So it's kind
They're
of really
gonna they need a recruit. They need a recruit a guy. They need
yeah,
this guy because Shapen, he's he's terrible, man. Like
yeah,
he looks one set. He stares straight down at his first read and does not. He doesn't read a defense. He looks at his first
yeah.
read and does that. But again, I think they're going to be Florida.
Yeah. We'll see about that game later.
I did
And
like, but nice thing about Mississippi State, I really did like Mississippi State. The campus is really nice. The campus was really nice. Davis Wade's really a unique stadium. I cannot imagine that place when it gets when they're good because even during the Toledo game, I got a headache.
yeah, those cowbells are loud. It's
Yeah,
also head north of Gainesville to Tallahassee where stinky goes DJU and Mike Norvell 0-3 to Memphis. And that was a game where they lose all their linebackers before the game, and then they have a couple injuries during the game with their linebackers going down,
are we
and
gonna have
then
a
they just can't
weekly?
move the ball.
Are we gonna have a weekly segment every week where we talk about this team? It
We
feels
might
like
have to because they
because
were one game they were finished undefeated last year, and they
because the biggest fear for me was not DJ. I never expected DJ to be the player that he was in 2020. I was afraid for one thing, for two things, and I heard great things about one side. I heard nothing about the other side. The defensive line for Florida State and the receivers. The one I heard great things about is the defensive line, because everyone at ESPN, everyone who went to Florida State was like, "We've got NFL talent here. These guys are good. These guys are going to be first round draft picks. You can't stop the run. You can't stop the run. You get out of physical by Georgia Tech, Boston College. and Memphis.
Yeah.
The thing that I was worried about for Florida State and my biggest fear, and but no one saw this. We're like, oh, we're Florida State's gonna be fine. They're gonna win the ACC. I had worries because the receiving. Their top receiver was a Trent was Malik Benson. That's who their top guy was at the depth chart. They didn't. They lost all three of their receivers.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe how bad.
They
Like
had some
Roydell
good receivers
Williams.
last year.
Roydell Williams can't do anything. I feel bad. Roydell Williams can't do anything. Malik Benson, he's trying, but if he's your number one receiver, you're in deep, deep shit. But the biggest problem with Florida State is
Move the ball.
they got out physical in all three games.
Yeah, I would have not think that they would got like physically dominated on the line of scrimmage in that and Memphis just because Memphis didn't have like a running quarterback. They had a pocket passer and he was making some good plays, but he also, I mean, they had chances to like plenty of chances where they were forcing field goals, and then every time they get on offense, they would just have some big negative play, or they'd have a big play, and then they'd just like try to I'm sick and tired of watching DJU every time they run like play action or anything, and they have the tight end just run out for like a quick out route, and they throw that every time. It just gets stopped for like 1 yard. Like those are the most least productive plays I think I've seen.
Two things. One, Florida State's over under win total this year, according to most Vegas, was 9.5. That's already hit. The under's already hit.
Yeah.
Second, that Florida State game is going to be must watch TV.
Yep.
Maybe Florida State finds something, but dude, that
Yeah.
Florida State game
That's
is going to be cinema.
yeah. Peak
Yeah.
cinema.
A cinema of trash.
It goes committee.
Because every year, one Florida team's good, the rest are shit.
Yeah.
I'm This year, it's Miami's turn. But I don't even know how good Miami is because they beat Florida, who's terrible.
Yeah. Well, the ACC is not also very good. So
If my It's gonna be
Grayson McCall's out now. It's NC State. They're on
who's in the running for the ACC? Miami, Clemson,
Clemson.
Louisville,
Not
Syracuse.
many teams. Cal.
Uh,
Cal goes to Tallahassee this weekend. Let's head into the week 4 previews for this college football slate. Let's head into the first game that we're previewing. Oklahoma's first SEC game, hosting Tennessee, and College Game Day is going to town. It's a night primetime game on ABC. All the eyes will be in Norman, especially against former quarterback, national winning head coach, quarterback, and also head coach for Tennessee, Josh Heupel, returning back to Norman. This should be an interesting matchup, shouldn't it, JD?
this is one I had circled like for at the start of the year. I was like, "Oh baby, we're going to Oklahoma, Tennessee," because these two played a home and home when Baker Mayfield was the starter. This isn't the Heisman Trophy year. This is the first 2 years of Mayfield. They played Josh Dobbs in Tennessee. Again, Tennessee's a lot better than they were, and Oklahoma's a lot different than they were. But those two games, especially the one in Neyland, was a great game. And I just love watching these two. I just love watching these two play. I don't like Tennessee. I don't like Heupel, but they are so much fun to watch. Their offense is so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, I like more than Tennessee, but this is going to be a fascinating game. But it could be a blowout.
Yeah.
Really
If
could be.
it's a blowout, I'm gonna lean Tennessee's way just because Oklahoma has not really looked good, especially on offense. And now they've lost a
Tennessee
couple
has
of
looked
their
like a top.
receivers.
If there wasn't an AP ranking, I'd put Tennessee at like number 3 in the nation. They've looked like one
Yeah.
of the
I mean, they're
elitest
they're top
this
six
year.
right now. I mean, they're number 6 right now.
But this is their first road. This is their first true test, and this is Nico's first road game. Like he played a neutral site, but he's never played a road game. And you get to go to Norman. That will be interesting to me because Heupel and his quarterbacks have never, and even with Hooker in his time in Tennessee, they've never haven't been great on the road. Remember, they lost both times in the swamp to Florida. They lost to
South
Georgia
Carolina.
as the number one team. South Carolina, Tennessee under Heupel hasn't been great on the road, so this will be interesting to see. Like, does Oklahoma cement themselves this year? Does Jackson
Yeah.
Arnold do something? But what do you think?
I think Jackson Arnold, he's looked I mean, it doesn't help. He's lost a couple skilled guys, a couple receivers went down with injury. I'm not sure what their status.
They've been very injured. Like
Yeah.
they've
Hopefully
gotten
they'll get some
hurt.
guys back for this game. But they need to get off to a good start in the game. If they can score on their first drive or do something, put pressure on Tennessee's offense to just continue doing what they're doing. I think this will be interesting going against Brent Venables, who's really good defensive mind. And I just want to see how their offense looks. And Jackson Arnold has not really had good numbers like passing wise, but he's been able to run the ball, like scramble and run really well when he's had the
The
space.
thing I'm worried about with Oklahoma is their offensive line.
Yeah.
It's been a question mark. And
Tennessee's
it's
defense has been really good.
yeah, that's been the surprise of the year. Probably even in Tennessee circles, they're like, wait, this defense is good.
I
Like,
mean, if you have a 5-star quarterback you pay all this money for, that was rumored, then you know your offense is going to perform, but the defense has just been incredible.
yeah, and I'm worried about Oklahoma's offensive line, and I'm worried
Yeah.
about Jackson Arnold. But if they play good, if they're good, then Oklahoma has a chance. Again, this one's weird because it's in Norman. If this was in Knoxville, I would say 100% I knew who I'm taking.
Yeah.
This
With
but Norman and it's on the road. It's Oklahoma's first SEC. They've got everything. They got game day coming in. It's a huge game.
I know Oklahoma fans have been circling this game ever since the SEC
Oh,
schedule, ever
I
since
would
they
be.
got their first SEC schedule out. Just knowing who the coach of Tennessee is and the type of history he's had at Oklahoma.
Definitely. I mean, he won them a national championship.
Yeah. And I mean, this will be a great environment, especially to kick off SEC play for Oklahoma. I'm very excited for this matchup.
Our next game is another huge game. USC, Southern California, traveling to Ann Arbor to play Michigan. Do you know what time this game is?
I was about to do the theme song for you. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do,
CBS
do.
first game, big game on the Big Ten. Like they finally get something good. Like
Yep.
this is going
Well,
to be an
we'll see if
interesting.
it's going to be good if Michigan decides to show up on offense with
It's in the
Alex
big
G
house.
being named.
It's in the big house. They're going to run the ball. It's
Yeah,
but this could be interesting. This is one of the games where I'm like, this is another one where I'm like, even though Michigan's not looked great this year, I could
they
still
can still
see.
run it.
Yeah, they got Orgy. They got Alex Orgy playing quarterback, and that's an X factor because he's a mobile quarterback. He's like Milrow. It's like last year Milrow. It's like
Yeah,
last year
I
Jalen
think
Milrow.
you hit on it, but the big X factor for this game is definitely who wins the line of scrimmage battle. If the Michigan offensive line can dominate the USC defensive line, which the USC defensive line has actually looked kind of good. I mean, it looked decent. It looked pretty good against LSU. I mean, they were able to create pressure, stop the run, and whatnot. But we'll see. I mean, that's what the X factor is. I'm not really worried about Miller Moss or anything because he's looked good.
And I think Michigan's defense will do fine. They'll be fine against USC. They'll keep
Yeah,
it in the game. Like, do I think it's going to be as bad as Texas? No. No, I
yeah,
think Texas
I
is
don't
a
think so.
monster. I think Texas is a monster. This is a completely different opponent.
I think with that Texas film that they saw, they're able to
This
kick
this
things.
game, this game, Michigan should look at. Okay, USC is gonna not gonna want to play bully ball. So if we get them into a bully ball game, then we might have a chance. I think that was their game plan for Texas, but they were starstruck to see Texas go, oh yeah, we can play bully ball too. I don't know if USC can do that yet.
USC's also they've gotten better on the offensive line.
They have been.
Watched them like 2 weeks ago when they played against Utah State, even though Utah State's not that good, but they pounded the ball with the run, and their offensive line looks a lot better. And they're using Woody Marks from Washington and Mississippi State, and he's looked good. But we'll see. I mean, this is you hit it, and we both agree on this. If Michigan can play bully ball, can control the time of possession, can get these long drives like they've had against Ohio State, where they just pound the rock, use their offensive line to just tire the defense out, then this could really, especially being the big house. If this was played in Southern California, I think the lights are going to be too big. Hollywood, it's going to be a up and down game. But since this game's in Ann Arbor, I don't know. I think I might. We'll get into predictions later, but if I think how this game's going to go, I really do think that they're going to control possession and time of possession and whatnot.
So change the script. So currently we have Utah going to Oklahoma State as the preview game. How much do you know about Utah and Oklahoma State? Because I really don't know a ton about Utah and a ton about Oklahoma State. But there's two games on here that I think you and I are both interested in that we
Yeah,
might be able to
we
preview.
can add those real quick, but at least on this Utah game, real quick. Cam Rising, he went out 2 weeks ago. I don't know if he's going to play or not. If he does, I lean Utah, but Oklahoma State looked really good last week. I mean, I think Allen Bowman threw for like 400 yards or something crazy, and they just routed Tulsa. Tulsa's not very good, but
This
they
could be
built
a
off
big
the momentum from the overtime win, and it's going to be a big game. Utah's first Big
This is a
12
big
game.
game for this is a big game in the Big 12 because these are two of the favorites.
Yeah, and I just think I think Oklahoma State with that environment and just with all the experience they have, I think I'm gonna lean
Yeah.
Oklahoma State that game. But what's your
I
other two previews we should do?
One of them I think we should save for predictions. The toilet bowl in the SEC, pretty much.
Yeah,
The game that I'm really interested in, and I'm glad it's at 2:30. I'm glad it's at 2:30 at the same time as USC Michigan, so I can flip back and forth. This one, Arkansas going to Auburn. Fascinating.
yeah, that's a
Fascinating.
very fascinating game. Hank Brown, what did you think? I mean, he didn't look bad, but he looked solid. I mean, we'll
That's
see when he's playing against a good team, but
Hank Brown did what he needed to do to win that game. And we know Auburn's had trouble with those games. It's the defense.
yeah, their defense
Like
was, I mean,
Auburn's young, like I've said, but this game, this game is another interesting one. What if Sam Pittman's job could be on the line of this game? Because really, if they beat Oklahoma State, you have an undefeated Arkansas team going into this game. All the momentum. But because of his management, they lose that game. And now you got to go to Auburn. And no matter how bad Auburn is, Jordan Hare is one of the toughest places to play in the SEC. And it's a new quarterback with not a ton of tape. So I have no idea. But I think two of the best play callers in the SEC. Hugh Freeze against Bobby Petrino is going to be awesome. Taylor Green has been really good this year for Arkansas. So yeah,
yeah.
this game
I
is
think the better quarterback's going to win this game. I mean, you can say Taylor Green's been the better, but he can still make some mistakes. He's
yeah,
been,
they're both
especially in the Oklahoma State game, that second half, he was making a lot of mistakes. They were turnovers left and right. He was throwing some bad throws, but his explosiveness in the run, they got a really good running back, got a couple good receivers. Arkansas, I mean, their defense isn't too bad, but
no.
they played kind of bad against UAB last week. UAB put up a good fight against them. And Auburn's defense, on the other hand, did not look good against New Mexico, and it did not look even. It looked
Probably gonna
horrible.
be
I think it's gonna be a shootout. Yeah,
it's probably gonna be because I mean, unless Hank Brown looks completely lost out there, which could happen. I mean,
yeah.
it's a question.
This is a very much toss up game for me.
And we'll get into
I lean
predict.
lean Auburn just because of the home advantage,
We'll see.
especially with how Arkansas managed the diabolical second half against Oklahoma State.
All right, let's get into predictions now. So last week we tied. We both went 5 for 8.
Yeah, 5 in 3 weeks.
So the games we picked were Florida State, Florida State, Memphis. We both lost that one. I mean, at this point, we'll see. We picked Bama. I picked South Carolina. You picked LSU. So you won that game.
Hey,
But
you
picked,
you should have won that game.
but you picked Florida, and I picked Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So we both lost TCU because they couldn't hold
They
on.
choked. They choked in the second. They had the worst choke in the
They
second half ever.
absolutely choked.
They
Yeah.
got like 20. They were moving the ball, destroying. Josh
They
Hoover's actually a
yeah,
pretty
we
good
should
quarterback.
that should have
He's a good
helped us.
quarterback. Yeah.
Georgia, we both picked Georgia. That almost looked
I was
really
a little
bad.
sweaty.
We both picked Missouri and we both picked Oklahoma. So we so two of our losses were similar. It's just one game. We each had one game that we flipped and we split that. I picked South Carolina. You picked Florida.
Yeah.
So
Let's
this
head
week,
into
so this week we're going back to 8 games. Oh, so this week we're going back. We're picking another 8 games for the record. Right now, Nicholas, because we tied, you're still in the lead for on college.
Yep.
Uh,
Let's head into the week 4
I'll
predictions.
I'll hold up. I'll let I'll let you take a break from hosting. I'll take over on this one.
Alrighty.
All right. So our first game, we didn't preview this, but it is a top 25 matchup. It's honestly because I do not know a ton about the one of the teams. Illinois taking on Nebraska. So another interesting game, another top 25 game on Friday. Who you
Yeah.
got and why?
I've watched some of Illinois. They looked really good against Kansas. I mean, it's just a typical Bielema team where they'll grind you out, and they have former Ole Miss transfer Luke Altmaier at quarterback. He's pretty solid, but man, I'm riding with Nebraska. The hot hand, that environment, another sellout. I mean, Nebraska, they just opened up their new facility. They got a ton of momentum riding into their program right now. I think they're gonna stay undefeated and open up Big Ten play with a win.
I've got Nebraska winning. I think the home environment makes a difference. I think Rule's a better coach than Bielema
And
personally.
they have the better quarterback.
Yeah, but that's not saying a ton. I
Yeah,
mean,
considering
good,
it's Illinois.
but we'll see. I mean, Nebraska's test really comes in their back half of the schedule. We'll get to that later in the year, but right now, Nebraska, they need to take care of business and just take it 1 week at a time. Try not to look ahead to a bigger game coming in October. So the next game we got is the Toilet Bowl at 11 a.m. The SEC, Florida against Mississippi State.
Hold your nose, guys. Hold your nose when watching this game. You might be smelly.
Got guys, it might be a close your eyes game. I
Unless
mean,
you're a sicko like us, you'll be tuned in.
yep. What are the other games I recommend watching instead? Maybe North Carolina State, Clemson, Kansas, West Virginia will be interesting. Way more interesting. Yeah,
Unless if you just like watching sicko material, then tune into this game.
we're part of Sickos committee. We'll be part of Sickos.
Yeah.
Who do you got and why? For Florida, for Florida's um for Florida's mindset in this game, they're probably going we if we win, it's a win. Cool. If not, we get Billy Napier gets
well,
fired. So I think
well, most of these guys
I
probably
think
like
Florida wins.
Napier.
I think Florida wins either way.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Florida, their players may play for Napier. I mean, I'm not sure. Nobody knows. Maybe, but I'm especially looking. These teams both are in a bounce back spot. I mean, Mississippi State laid an absolute goose egg against
I
Toledo.
could
And
see Lagway.
Florida,
I could see Lagway,
they need to.
and I hate doing this. I hate doing this because I'm going against myself yet again, but I just think Lagway is probably gonna torch State.
That's what I think.
But
I
I
think I'm
want
gonna
to
take Florida.
pick
I
State's.
don't. I don't feel confident with
I
any of
want to
these.
pick State so bad. I
I'm
want
gonna
to
take
pick them
Florida.
so bad. My sister's probably gonna go there too.
Just take
Uh,
State then.
I need no. I
You can
can't.
gain a game on me.
I saw them. I saw them. I saw
Yeah,
them
that's
play.
true.
I don't want to dig my hole. I don't want to dig my hole deeper. Like
Yeah.
I think Lagway is the difference, and it's just barely. But God, like
You know,
this is my 50-50 game of the week because I have no idea. Okay, if I decide to change that one, I'll come back. Kansas, West Virginia.
it's
In
actually a very
Morgantown.
interesting game.
In Morgantown.
Yeah, I'm gonna take West Virginia coming off of a brutal loss in the backyard bowl against. That was an awesome game to watch. If you watched that
It
against
was
Pittsburgh and West Virginia, that was
Alabama
awesome.
transfer Eli Holstein.
Yeah,
Oh
he's going
boy.
crazy.
I'm picking Kansas.
Kansas, I watched them on Friday. They blew that game. They were
Yes,
up
but UNLV is solid.
UNLV. Yeah, they're really good.
They're solid. They were gonna be my They were gonna be my NCAA 25 rebuild team, but now they're good, so I can't do
Look,
that.
against with West Virginia, they lost two of their out of conference games, so they're technically still alive for the Big 12. I mean, after
Yeah.
starting in two.
Honestly, Arizona, Kansas State, Arizona's still alive because that was a
Yeah,
non-con.
that was a non-conference game. That was a pretty good game as well, but
Uh,
Arizona couldn't stop on defense. Let's head into our next game.
so that would
USC.
be the USC Trojans traveling to Ann Arbor.
Give me the upset. Give me
You
Michigan.
got Michigan.
I think what we said at the X Factors, I think that's going to play out. I think they're going to actually play bully ball, hold time of possession, lean on the crowd. They're going to get some big stops when they need to. Will Johnson, I think he's going to have an interception on Miller Moss. And I think Alex Orji, he's probably going to throw the ball like how they did against Ohio State, where he's going to throw the ball maybe 10 to 12 times, maybe like 14 or 15. If they start out with the lead and they're just going to dominate,
Hmm.
and Donovan Edwards is going to have a big game.
This game's going to come down to the wire, I think. I think it's going to be the game of the I think this is going to be the game of the day. That's just personal taste, but I've got USC. I've got USC getting out of there because I think Lincoln Riley's a better coach. I think Zachariah Branch is the best player on USC right now. I think Miller Moss is really good. And I think he continues a Heisman campaign by beating the defending champs, even though this is a show of the defending champs. Next game, we previewed it at 2:30. Arkansas at Auburn in Jordan Hare.
I think your last words and Jordan Hare. That's the difference in the pick right there. I'm gonna go Auburn.
You got Auburn. I've got the Pigs.
Yeah.
I got the
Uh,
Pigs because Bobby and Taylor and Green,
yeah.
Bobby Petrino. They'll they'll make they'll make a stop. It all depends on which defense gets a stop, and I
Who knows
think
the bigger
I think
defense is
UAB
that?
I think UAB is a better team than New Mexico, and I think
Yeah,
Arkansas
definitely.
probably should have been 3-0 at this time, but again, don't again I could see this one go either way. I got the Pigs. Give me the Woo Pig Suey. It's probably a homer pick, but I don't care. Picks. Um, Utah, Oklahoma State. I've got the upset.
Yeah, Utah.
No,
I
it's actually Utah's
Oklahoma
the
State.
favorite by 1.5. I mean, it's not really an
I
upset.
mean, if we're going off the line off right now, they probably think that Cam Rising is gonna play because that quarterback last week is not that good. I think his name's Bryson Barnes or
If
something.
Utah, if Utah, if Cam Rising plays, maybe, but I still think I think Oklahoma State
I like
wins.
Oklahoma State a lot. I'm gonna agree with you. I would just too much experience on that team, especially it's at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Do you think Ollie Gordon could have a game where kind of gets back on the college map if he has a good game?
I don't think it'll be against Utah because Utah usually has a good defense, but he could. He needs it. He did not really. He has
Yeah.
not really had a good start to this
I think
year.
Whittingham's the better coach, and if Rising plays, then I kind of like Utah, but that home field. But if even with Cam Rising, I think that home field kind of makes a difference.
I mean,
Uh,
it's kind of like the Utah Florida game all over again.
Another interesting game: Baylor at Colorado.
I think I'm gonna ride Colorado here. They looked actually really good against Colorado. I mean, it's Colorado State, but still, they struggled with them
Game-
last year.
This game is a 2 point. This game's a 2 point difference. Colorado's favored by two. It's in Colorado. You got Colorado.
Yeah, uh, just a better court. I don't really know about much about Baylor, but
I've got Travis Hunter. I
I
believe
think
in Travis
Juan
Hunter.
Finn, their quarterback from I think he transferred from Toledo. Actually, kind of funny. Daquan
Colorado's got
Finn.
Colorado's got the best player in college football. Baylor's is not. Give me Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado's offensive line looked a lot better than it did against Nebraska.
And I don't even like Colorado. I like Travis Hunter.
Yeah, he's he's the best player in the country.
And then last but not least, the game of the week. College game day. Oklahoma's SEC debut. Tennessee at Oklahoma. Who you got and why?
Think the better offense is going to win this game. It's going to be Tennessee. But it's going to be a close scoring game, and Tennessee is going to have a late drive. I mean, both young quarterbacks. It's going to be a good game. Hopefully, it's a good game. I don't want to see Tennessee just blow them out. I mean, but I think Tennessee is just going to go in there and silence the crowd. And this will be kind of similar to remember the game when Tennessee started their run against LSU when that had much hype, and then the Tennessee just blew them out. I could kind of see this game going like that.
I could too, but the difference in that LSU game is why the heck did they not play that game at night? That was
Yeah.
prime night LSU. Um,
You're thinking about
how
doing the
does
upset
Oklahoma
here.
win this game? I'm trying to go in my head. How does Oklahoma win this game? You can help me.
Building off the
How does
feeding off the
Oklahoma?
crowd.
How does is that Jackson Arnold's gonna play great? I think, but I got Tennessee. Their defenses looked great. Their running game, the running games look great. It's not just because Nico's looked great. I mean, Nico had a really he was okay against NC State, which is the one game out that kind of competition, even though NC State's not great. He didn't look great, but the run game looked really good. And I think the defensive line at Tennessee is better than Oklahoma's offensive line. I think Nico's got more time than Arnold.
If Arnold can get time,
I just
I'm not
want this.
sure about the Tennessee secondary might be a little suspect. So maybe they can get some
If this
explosive
game
plays out
if
of that.
they if this game goes down to the wire, then I think Oklahoma wins. But
Yeah.
I do not think that happens. I think even though it's Venables against Heupel, I think Tennessee wins. But please, 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 for the sake of this weekend, for the sake of college football, please be good. Please be a good football game. I would hate for this to be a bad football game. A game that's so hyped up, but then nothing.
Yeah. Well, that will wrap up this episode of the Fourth and a Mile podcast, the college football edition. We'll be back later in the week for our NFL recapping of week 2 and previewing week 3. But I'm Nicholas Elliott here with JD Zasa, and we're clocking out for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.
Later.